welcome back to the Well Below Average podcast with Nick and Adam. I'm Adam, and beside me is Nick Nepic, as always. How you doing today, Nick?
I'm doing well. Happy New Year.
Yes, to you too. To all our watchers, listeners, and all that. It's been almost about 6 weeks since we had a show.
Is it too late to say Happy New Year, or like when is the cutoff? Like I feel like January, like kind of the whole month. You've got, because if you haven't seen somebody, but I had a friend of mine the other day. He was like, somebody just told me Happy New Year. It's like the 17th. It's late, and I was like, well, if they haven't seen you, I think it's still fine. So
I think so. The way I look at it is, I run my little business, and I'm just now starting to get back into like those types of things, or kind of network with people and stuff. So it's like, yeah, Happy New Year, because most people are still kind of getting going into the year, so it's still kind of a fresh year to everybody. So I find it acceptable.
Okay.
During the month of January, so
we'll take it.
Yeah. So it's been about 6-7 weeks since we did a show. Last week was my fault. We planned on going. Well, kind of. I got sick.
Did you have COVID? Because everybody's having COVID right now.
I don't go out really anyway. I don't interact with people, so I just sat at home. But to me, it's like, if you're not from the area here in Dallas, North Texas, it's like it could be 25 one day, and then that same day be 77.
Yeah.
And my whole life, that's always messed with me. Those big, and
this time of year, this like where we'll get like 3 or 4 days of winter, and then what was a few days ago, it was like, or today it's gonna be like 60 something, and then it's like, but there are times when it's up and down even more, but it's the worst for any allergies, any slight cold is magnified, all of that.
And I didn't go get a COVID test. Maybe that's irresponsible of me, but it's the same thing, same sickness I've gotten every year my whole life. It's just what it felt like. It didn't knock me out. Last Sunday, I woke up and I was trying to talk, and I was just real raspy and wasn't able to like talk real well most of the day. But that's just all common stuff with that. So I just stayed away for a few days from anybody, and now I'm feeling a lot better.
Well, there you go. Glad you're feeling better, and we're back.
Yeah, we're back. This is our 71st episode, and then first episode of season 3. As I
there we go.
Arbitrarily set the seasons up here.
Yeah, and we make your own rules.
Yeah. Tomorrow maybe season 4.
No one can tell you when to see it. Could be.
But anyway, so we are back as underwhelming as ever. So let's get into it. Anything big happen? Any big New Year's, Christmas, holidays? Let's recap, because you got the baby.
No. Well, yeah, we went to Florida. My wife's family, her parents live in Florida, so we traveled with she was 5 months old at that time, 5-month-old, and she did pretty well. The flight there, she did great, no issues at all. The flight back, she did okay. She missed the nap, and so she was in a bad mood for a lot of the flight, but we finally got her to fall asleep, and she was fine after that. But overall, it went better than I thought it would. Actually got exposed to COVID like right before Christmas. We're like, oh no, you finally got it. But ended up testing like 4 times, tested negative every time. My wife did. So we were happy about that, but it just feels like every person I talk to, they're like, yep, my husband got it, my wife got it, our kids, and so I feel like we're just dodging traffic at this point. We're just in the highway dodging traffic 2 years later. But we had a good Christmas, New Year's. We didn't do I don't think anything. We went to bed early, and that was that. But good time in seeing the wife's family, her sister, her family, all that. First time we've been together in 2 years, basically. So we enjoyed it a lot. Had a good time, good Christmas, all that stuff. What about you guys?
Low key, we do the same thing kind of every year. New Year's, though, we did New Year's Day. My mother-in-law came over, my wife's mom. That's how that works, I think. Now she is
that's what they want you to think.
Yeah. So my wife is first generation Mexican American. Her mom was born and raised in Mexico. and I've been pestering her for years. Teach me how to make tamales, like real handmade, authentic tamales. And finally, she came over, and me and my wife been together for over a decade, and it's like finally she came over, and yeah, she was real nice. She's a real nice lady. She was willing to, but she was like she hates it. She hates making tamales. That's why she's been like kind of like pushing it off for these years, because it's she grew up and it was like you're a girl, you make tamales with the women, and she was kind of like forced to make it her whole life. And
right.
For me, it was great. I learned how to do it, and we still got a freezer full of tamales. If you want some tamales, let me know. Handmade.
I do love tamales. Growing up, we got them every Christmas. Around Christmas, New Year's. My stepdad had a lady that he knew that made them, and that's where he bought them. We got some. Somebody at work got some, so we had a little bit. But I do love tamales. They're great. Was it as hard or harder, easier than you thought it would be to make?
It's not like particularly hard. It's very tedious, and you can't rush it. So it took like 6 hours from start to finish. And it was there's a learning curve too, because like the little corn husk, the masa, how you spread it on, like there's a certain way you got to do it, or it won't cook right. Cooking all this stuff, and there's all the steps. That was great. She wrote it all down in Spanish for me. My wife's gonna have to translate it. But I love to cook, and I love to experiment. So like tamales to me are these ultimate like blank canvases.
Yeah.
Just stuff them with anything. Like I want to make like potato tamales. I don't know, baked potato ones. I don't know, just anything I can think of. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to is the really getting in there one of these, when I have time and the will to do it, because it's a whole day event. Go and making like some real exotic ones.
Well, that was Christmas, and then since we'll get to sports, but there's been a lot of sports things. Have you enjoyed the sports over the holiday break?
Yeah. What's happened? Were we on when the Rangers signed all their guys for the lockout?
I think we did. Maybe not. Maybe that was right after. The Mavericks have been playing really well, so that's good. The Rangers signed some big names. That's good. I really thought the Cowboys would serve us well. Me as just a DFW resident, you as more of the passionate fan. I really thought they'd serve us better. And my just for fun, never would spend money gambling effort. That was disappointing, that part of it. But we'll get to that. But that was a big thing this last, what has it been, a week ago? So
yeah, it was. I'll get to it. Disappointing. I really disconnected after that game for a few days, and I'm still really. I don't know who I'm rooting for moving forward. Probably Kansas City.
When something like that happens, you want everyone to lose. Right? I want every fan base, every fan to feel the pain that I'm feeling. That's how I am. And especially if like my friends have teams still in it, I actively root against them because I don't want them to be happy because I'm not happy. That's the twisted mind that I have when it comes to rooting interest.
Well, I have a whole side of my family that lives in Kansas City.
Right. I was actually going to ask about this. So are they all like diehard Chiefs fans, all that good stuff?
So my dad is.
Or have they become fans because now they're really, really good? Like they've always been good, but now they're obviously, the next step up.
Well, my older sister will say she's been a Chiefs fan her whole life. I'm like, you didn't move to Kansas City till you're like 25. You're 40. I don't know. You lived in Arkansas.
That doesn't add up.
Yeah. So my sisters are like that. They're like, my sister-in-law who lives here is diehard KC fan. I've never heard her talk about sports. She's married to my brother until Kansas City won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and it's like now she's like, Kansas City. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna say anything, but it's just. So I guess that's who I'm pulling for going forward. Just because my dad, we talk a lot, and he's always going to talk about the Chiefs and good team, man. They're a good team, but we'll get into sports later. I don't want to belabor sports unless you want to.
No, we'll get into it in a little bit.
So we have a few there's a lot of news stories and that's the problem I have. There's a lot of news happened since we've been gone. I don't even remember half of it.
I mean, and we've lost some significant celebrities. I mean,
Yeah.
we always touch on that, but it's been like, to start the year.
Just one after another.
Start wherever you want to start, and let's hop in here.
Well, let's get into a little news. I only got two stories. One is a animal story, and that's mostly what I'm finding. It's not like politics or COVID related, but
right.
So I guess we'll kind of skip Explore Snore because I only got two stories. So this
we'll explore both of them.
Yeah, there we go. Police truck with 100 monkeys crashes, some of them missing.
That's like a Jumanji subplot. Where did this happen?
Danville, Pennsylvania.
Wow, I was gonna say, I mean, this is maybe bad of me. I would have thought like somewhere more exotic than that.
They were like lab monkeys, I guess. So a truck carrying about 100 monkeys was involved in a crash this last Friday, I believe. Let me check the date here. Yesterday, yeah. So last Friday, so just 2 days ago. They recovered all but 3 monkeys that they believe have escaped into the. I mean, you see the crash site. It looks like it's kind of like a rural highway area.
Mm-hmm.
So a few of the monkeys look like they might have got out into the woods.
Wow, that really does sound like Jumanji. When all those monkeys are just going nuts. Have we talked about this? That like of the animals that I guess could be like somewhat domesticated, I feel like monkeys are really terrifying. I mean, they will rip your face off. Hopefully hopefully the missing ones aren't injured in any way. Second of all, I guess you just put them in the truck, like they're awake, alert, ready to go. Where, I mean, if they're not dangerous, I guess they don't have to be like sedated at all, is my thought.
Yeah, and they may have been. I don't know. The story's really, really short. It just basically, here's a number to call if you see any of them. I saw there's no updates, so I'm assuming they're still at large. But I guess it depends on the monkeys. Like, I've seen on TikTok, there was a account I used to follow. It wasn't a spider monkey. It was just a really small monkey, and it seemed to be playful and all that, but if you get in those like orangutans or whatever,
or like a chimp.
Yeah, chimp. Yeah, like you hear about the horror stories, like chimp attacks handler and tears off arm and skins it. Like, oh, like no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't mess. I'm not a big like animals. Like whatever. We have a cat. I like dogs, but like outside of that, we don't need to be making all these animals pets. So hopefully those monkeys are okay. Where is do you have any idea where is it? Danville? Where in Pennsylvania is that?
Danville, Pennsylvania. I don't know. Let's use the internet.
Here, is it Ganville or Danville?
Danville, like Dan Fouts. It is.
Danville.
It appears to be. I don't know much about the geography of Pennsylvania. It looks to be like.
It's almost like right in the it's kind of in the middle of the state. Like
it looks like north of Harrisburg, Virginia.
Yeah. Well, Harrisburg is the capital of Pennsylvania.
Oh, is that Virginia? Or I don't know.
Anyway, kind of in the middle of nowhere. Where were they coming from? I wonder. Like, because like big city, you think, oh, they're coming like a lab with monkeys. Like middle of nowhere, truck full of monkeys. Maybe something. Some funny business going on there. I don't know.
Nefarious activities going on. So where is what's it called? Penn State at?
Penn State is in State College. It's like east of Pittsburgh, a few hours.
It appears to be Danville, about, I don't know, how many miles? 40, 50 miles east of State College, of where that is.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, shout out to the monkeys. Hopefully they're okay.
Well, you know what? I'm kind of rooting for them. I'm hoping that we get a Grand Prairie snake situation, that these monkeys go off and live a nice
Did we
full
ever,
life in the trees.
was that snake ever found, accounted for? Just out
No,
there
and
somewhere.
as far as I know, we were the only news outlet still talking about it.
Well, this cold weather has probably not been the best for it. So, RIP probably.
Yeah, I imagine it can't survive too long out of its habitat. But there goes the monkey talk. Next one is, how do you feel about your taxes? Are you a big tax guy? Like jump on it the first second you can?
Yeah, pretty much. As soon as we get all the documentation, in which we really haven't gotten much of ours yet. I mean, they got to get it sent by the end of the month. So maybe this week we'll be getting some of those forms. But yeah, pretty much as soon as we can do it, we get everything submitted.
And that's how we are. But this year you could expect some delays, as Congress and the government, they're supposed to pass bills to give IRS more money so they could do stuff faster, and that all got squashed. And so the IRS is understaffed and they haven't really gotten all the money they need. So they're saying, yeah, you're probably gonna have a tough time filing. It's gonna take forever. Expect everything to be slow this year.
So if you're going to cheat on your taxes, maybe mess some things around in there, this would be the year to do it. There's not as many eyes on what you're doing. They're probably just trying to get people through the system. Okay, check all the boxes. So if I would never do this, but if it's a tough year for you, maybe you could. I used to, when I was in my early 20s, what my parents told me, you probably make, I was making no money, and they said you probably make little enough that you wouldn't even need to file. If you just didn't even file, nothing would ever happen, because it was costing me money to file my taxes, and I just didn't want to pay it. And they're like, look, you make so little, you could probably get away with it for quite a while. Never did that, but there's so many people in the world. If they're understaffed, maybe this is the year. I don't know.
Well, to me, this is the year we actually do taxes like the rest of the world. Literally every other modern country in the world sends you either a bill or a check. They know how much you made. They know if you overpaid or not. It's
okay. This is a good point. So I've always wondered that, why do we have to be the ones to wrong, you owe money, or they owe you money. The government has all that information. Why can't they just either way? All right, so other countries, that's how they do it. It's just
it's and from what I've heard, it's lobbyists, H&R Block, Tax Act, Intuit, all these companies are the ones paying, I guess, senators to make sure it stays the same, because it's $1 billion business, people doing their taxes. But these businesses don't exist in other countries. Definitely not to the scope that they exist here. So yeah, your H&R Block commercials are all singing and dancing. Those guys behind the scenes are paying the senators to make sure we have to jump through all these hoops and pay them $500 a year.
Insurance, taxes, what else? Health care, I guess, health insurance, all scam. Adulthood, just trying to screw you out of money. All of them. It's the worst. I don't know. Not to get on a soapbox, but you have to have health insurance, but it's not affordable, but you have to pay for it because it's a mess. But the tax thing, not surprising, but yeah, we'll probably get it. We'll try to get everything submitted pretty quick. Didn't say this last year, wasn't it extended until June or July or something like that?
Last year, I don't know if they'll do it this year.
But I mean, people will probably just finished getting all their getting everything, their ducks in a row, starting over again.
Yeah, it's a pain. Taxes are I run my business, and I hate the state of Texas. It is convoluted. They don't tell you nothing until it's already too late. Like, hey, you didn't file this form. You should have 6 months ago. We didn't tell you about. Like,
Right.
yeah. So, sorry, I'll get off my small business soapbox. That's annoying things. But no, yeah, same with us. We're just kind of let everything starting to come in this last week. So once we get it all, we'll sit down and hammer it out.
There you go.
But let's see. And we touched on it a minute ago. Newsworthy is our celebrity deaths have been not coming in waves, coming in sheets, man. I can't even. Betty White didn't make the New Year. What's it, like New Year's Day, New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve, yeah. New Year's Eve.
Yeah. So dang, that Betty White, and then shockingly Bob Saget.
Yeah, Bob Saget, and then what's his name?
Meatloaf.
Meatloaf, and like, what was the guy just yesterday? Is it Louis?
Louis Anderson. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you're a big fan of quality, just shows, comedy dramas, Baskets on FXX with Zach Galifianakis. Louis Anderson plays his mom. Weird. But he is phenomenal in that. It is the best. He's the best character in that show, playing a 60-year-old house wife, mom, and wife. But yeah, I grew up watching him. This cartoon, Louis, and all that stuff. Yeah.
The Bob Saget was obviously the most shocking. I mean, did a show the night before. Have they said what possibly happened?
I think I know they kind of ruled out foul play, any drugs early on, but they say that his dad died in his 50s from like a heart issues, and that they're thinking that's what it is. There's some kind of genetic heart issue.
Yeah, I mean, that was just out of nowhere. And then Betty White, I mean, she was like days away from her 100th birthday. What a way to go out. I mean, and then Meatloaf, I mean, of course I know some songs, but wasn't like the hugest fan. But even so, I mean, just one after the other, unfortunately.
Well, I've always liked Meatloaf better as an actor. He's had some really cool parts. I mean, the Tenacious D movie, he played the dad.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Rocky Horror Picture Show. He's been in a few pretty notable roles. So yeah, he was multifaceted. And that's one thing, get vaxxed, because he was, he kind of came out anti-vax, anti-mask. It wasn't known if he was vaxxed or not, but he died from COVID complications.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had COVID pretty severe. He got diagnosed a week before. So,
wow.
Get vaxxed, wear masks.
Speaking of vax, have you gotten your booster?
Yeah.
Did you get any side effects from the booster?
No, I'm so happy. I thought I planned it where I'm going to get it, and then I'm not going to do anything the next day, but I was fine.
Okay.
Have you?
Yeah, I got my booster. I was just really sore the next day. I didn't feel bad. Like, I felt like I did a workout. My whole body was just kind of sore. But fine after that. So it took like 2 seconds at Target to get my booster. They gave me a $5 off any purchase. Oh. So I was like, great. I was going to get it anyway, but they gave me $5 to get the booster. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I found a little pharmacy not too far away, and when my kids got their second dose, me and my youngest kids got their second dose, and me and my oldest daughter got our boosters. We all just went in there and knocked it all out.
There you go. Yeah, nice. So do that, and maybe we won't hit the 3-year mark of a pandemic. Maybe we'll just get through 2 years.
Well, that's our plan. We got a cruise scheduled this summer, and we're like 2 weeks before the cruise, we're all going to get boosted again. If we can. Yeah,
I mean, for whatever reason, this like freaks people out. It's just going to turn into like a flu shot. Like, you get it once a year, or every 6 months, or whatever it is, and you go on with your life.
Listen, people were raised with the flu shot. People weren't raised with this, and there's this does not compute that, something that was developed before I was born must be better than something developed while I'm alive.
Right. Because people like Joe Rogan say that you shouldn't get it. I mean, and oh my gosh. But yeah, so get your booster, get your vaccine. And if you haven't, the thing is though, like the people that haven't gotten it aren't going to get it at this point, and that's unfortunate. But there are so many people of influence, whether athletes, celebrities, politicians, spreading misinformation, that it has just created this like horrible. And maybe we're going to talk about this. Have you watched Don't Look Up?
Yes.
Yeah. This whole propaganda of like either side, when like one side is like scientists and doctors and like smart people.
Experts.
They're not like just trying to make you turn into a zombie or something. Like the whole world, they're not all like working together saying like, okay, make sure we say this because we want Joe in Garland, Texas to like, turn into a mutant zombie and eat other people. Like they have dedicated their lives to like these kinds of sciences. And one thing I heard a while back is like, people are constantly working on like, there's going to be another pandemic. Like, what are we going to do to combat that? So like these types of things were already in the works. They just had to tailor it to fit, COVID, for example. But anyway, we don't need to spend any more time on that, but it's maddening. It's maddening.
Yeah. So get your booster. Just do it. It's becoming a pandemic of the unvaxxed, in my opinion. But, well, there's our news, rantings, and society stuff. Can't tell I'm standing. My wife got a new chair. This is like her office area.
I almost said like, are you standing up today? But I couldn't quite tell. But
the chair she put here is like saddle shaped, and it really squishes parts of me that I don't want squished. It's because it's like
Are you at like a standing desk right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a standing desk. Yeah, but okay. I feel like I'm like humping around and I'm stepping and moving it. So I'm like, okay, try to be still. But yeah, so that's our news. I'm standing up, and do we have a Nick Hates It?
That was it. We'll just say that was it. Yeah, okay. I don't want. It was actually going to be about Aaron Rodgers. Did you see all his comments about the president and vaccines and all these things?
No.
It came out yesterday before their game. Ironically, they lost. But just about vaccine stuff. But that was enough ranting about that for one episode.
Yeah, we can always pick up. Those comments don't go away. So what we're really here for, what we always want to talk about, we stand this show. We're going to get to it in a minute. We're going to talk some Cobra Kai.
It's back.
It's back, season 4. I've been holding you back from watching it so we could talk about it. I applaud your discipline in that, unless you just binged it all night.
No, I watched one episode last week, like preparing to talk about it, and then we didn't have a show. And then yesterday I watched 2 more. So I'm holding back. And then Ozark, the new season of Ozark just dropped. So that'll help, delay me in between. And of course, there's NFL playoffs as well. But I have been chomping at the bit to watch Cobra Kai season 4. So, yeah, excited.
Well, let's one show I want to talk about, which I think it's amazing. And I don't even like comic book shows, but you may want to give this one a chance. Because it's in line with the Boys and Invincible, those Amazon shows. It's Peacemaker. You heard about this?
Okay, I've heard about it, but I really don't know any of the details.
So it piggybacks right off of the Suicide Squad that just came out on HBO Max. One of the best movies that the DC side has put out. But this show it's great. It's well written. It's funny. John Cena is like, you see, like his acting depth. Like it's like, wow, he's really good. He's really gotten good at what he's doing, and I just think it's an amazing show. It's violent, kind of ultra violent, but over the top to the point where it's comical.
Okay.
And it's on purpose, but it's really neat, and it kind of dives into the whole superhero mentality, like. Peacemaker says he's a hero, but he kills people, and part of his creed is I kill women, I'll kill children, I'll kill anybody for peace. And people are like, well, how do you call yourself a hero? And it's like, Batman's a hero. It's like, Batman's too much of a chicken to kill the Joker. He puts him in jail. Joker breaks out and kills thousands of more people. Batman's killed way more people than me because he won't kill one person. It's all that kind of the ethics of
what is it on? What is it, HBO?
HBO Max, yeah.
Okay.
Or HBO, regular HBO, yeah.
I'd have to check it out.
Yeah, it's real neat how it dives into different aspects of superhero-ness, but we won't belabor that. Let's get into the show. It really brought us together.
It really did when you think about it.
Yeah, it did.
So we're the first 3 episodes of season 4. We're going to break down. There's a lot I feel like that's happened, but at the same time, it hasn't been all that much. I don't know if we want to go in order or just kind of mush them all together here. The biggest thing that's happened is Terry Silver is back in the mix from the original Karate Kid 3, the Cobra Kai, like other guys, the Kreese. He's back in the show, and just bringing his character into it has been huge. One thing, and this is different than the last season, we knew in the last season that like Ali was going to come back eventually, and they drug it out. It was like this 8th episode or something. I like that they got this out of the way. He's going to be a part of what seems to be the whole season. So that's exciting for old Karate Kid fans. And we're just trying to figure out the inner workings of Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do karate, and that's been a major theme. And Robbie working with Cobra Kai as they prepare for the All Valley. When last season ended, there was the truce between Johnny, Daniel, and Kreese, like nothing until the All Valley tournament. And so that's sort of what we're building up to here.
Yeah. I liked it. It was kind of started out slow, these first...
The first episode I thought was very slow. Second, 2 and 3 were better. The first episode I thought was very slow.
And something I noticed, and it's bound to happen, and it's not really anybody's fault, but Miguel really aged in that gap. The actor. He looks, he's 20 now, and when they started shooting the show, he would have been 16. So he's growing into a man, but he's, that's really jumped out at me. It's like, whoa, he had some growth spurt here over the last year or so.
Yeah.
I like the scenes, especially in 2 and 3, when you start seeing Johnny and they've been doing it throughout the series. Kind of Johnny and Daniel kind of figuring out how their relationship's going to work, how they put the past behind them. And
it's funny you say that. In the last episode 3, when they were like really getting like both trained, especially Daniel was training at the Cobra Kai method. My wife is like in the room, like just on her phone or something, and she goes, "Are they falling in love? Like, what are they doing here?" I was like, "Well, that's not really the point, but like I get what you're saying." I like that. And then in episode 3, first new character we've gotten in a while.
Yes.
Kenny is the kid's name, and really like what they did with his character. He's like the new Daniel from the original Karate Kid, and there was some fun little flashbacks, him being chased while he's in a costume, hopping over the fence, that whole thing. Thought that was really, really well done. I don't always love when shows bring in a brand new character that ends up being somewhat of a major figure, but I think the way they tied this in seems pretty good. The brother of the kid that's in the, in juvie that Robbie ended up, being close with. I think that's significant. And I'll be interested to see how they play that out through the rest of the season.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. That seems, I like it because it kind of gives it legs going forward.
Yeah,
because you could see that picking up and becoming more of a major storyline in the future seasons, and it gives you a refresh. Because as I don't want to get too deep or meta, but as we start kind of closing the book on this Eagle Fang, Miyagi-Do, Cobra Kai thing, you kind of building in a new protagonist, antagonist point
Yeah.
of view.
So 3 episodes in, we don't know anything about the All Valley tournament. What's your prediction of what happens here? Because I really only think there's 3 ways. Well, I think there's 4 ways it could go. Like Robbie could win for Cobra Kai. Miguel could win for Eagle Fang. I think Hawk is a dark horse.
Right.
Hawk, that Dimitri guy, like the black hair, he was the nerdy guy. I think Sam could win. But I think there's some sort of thing that could happen where like Robbie in the tournament like realizes something with Johnny, his dad, and there's like a something, I don't know, a moment between those, and there's like a no winner type situation. I don't know. I think I'm really interested to see how they do that, because there's several characters that have all played major roles in the show that could, conceivably win.
Yeah, there's that. The thing that intrigues me is Samantha and
Tori, the other girl.
Tori, and then the mom, Mrs.
Oh yeah.
There's something building there that's going to be, which I think is going to blow up before the All Valley, and I could almost see Tori attacking the mom.
Okay, I didn't think about that, but that could.
The truce has nothing to do with her. She's fair game, I guess, and Tori seems to be going further down that sociopathic spiral with Priest. Whereas Robbie seems like he's still a good kid. You root for him. He seems to be the one, kind of bastion of goodwill in Cobra Kai. So yeah, I could see something happening where he kind of realizes how bad of, especially with Terry Silver coming back.
And I think something interesting about this season, the kids, at least so far, are much less the center of the show. Like, this has been a lot of like the adults, the first 3 episodes. Not a lot happening with the kids. Are they in school right now, or like they haven't shown any of the older kids in school? Only that Kenny kid and like Daniel's son, which I guess what will happen, something's going to happen with that, with his son specifically, being one of the antagonists there. So I think there's a lot of different directions it could go. The first episode really was, I thought, really slow. Didn't love it, but the 2 and 3, I really enjoyed it. I think they're setting up for what could be a really good season.
What I don't want to see is, so the end of season 3, spoilers, I guess it's all spoilers. So if you didn't get that, Terry Silver, puts his hair back in the ponytail, and it looks like he's. I liked how his character evolved. How they kind of like, kind of got better. Well, not better, but he changed. He wasn't like Priest. He didn't stay that same mentality. I don't want to see him swing all the way back to that like Priest level. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
I think they probably will. He was a major a-hole in that season 3, that third movie. I mean, he was as bad as it got. But he was more different from Priest. He was more like slimy. Like he would act, oh, Daniel, we're just trying to, I want you to be the best you can. And then he's got that anger in him as well. Whereas Priest is just kind of a jerk all the time. It will be, I think that's something to watch. How does his character develop? Do we have any other Easter eggs of characters or people that are going to jump in? I mean, they haven't given any hints, but it's always a possibility. We got some of the old Cobra Kai guys. What was that, season 2? So there are certainly some other ones that can drop. I really thought Allie would be more a part of the show. She hasn't been back since that 1 episode, which is a little disappointing. But I'm excited. I think just like every show, they run into the risk of like, okay, 4 seasons, too many seasons. Like we could have ended this. So we'll see if they can avoid that. But so far, so good.
Yeah. I think so. Is this an Easter egg? You asked me, or you said that, and Daniel talked about like how he went to Karate Kid 2, how he was able to go to Japan. You know, when he's talking to Miguel about, you know, college and all that, like how he took basically all his college money to go with. You wonder, is that going to play out with Miguel later? Does he want to go to Japan and study in Miyagi, you know, with his family over there?
And there was the moment where Miguel caught the fish and Daniel gave him, the bandana, and Johnny saw them and he was like kind of angry with that. I wonder if that's going to come to a head. I mean, there's a lot of little things there we can see, play out later in the season.
I'm looking forward to it. Now, moving forward, are we going to do 3 episodes at a time, 1 at a time? How are we scheduling?
We'll do 1 at a time after this. We were a little slow out of the gate and starting near the end of the month. Now we'll do 1, but we wanted to get 3 in there.
Okay. So let's start television talk, and let's get into it a little more deep before we get out of here. Sports talk, we kind of covered what's happened, but let's kind of give our thoughts on our teams, Cowboys, Steelers, talk about what the year and where we see them moving forward. And I'll let you go first with the Steelers Nation.
So I feel like I probably have a little bit less. It was awesome to make the playoffs. Great to beat the Browns. Ben's last game was emotional. Loved it. Beating the Ravens was great, of course. Didn't expect them to make the playoffs. Like, going into that last game, I told my friends, my wife, I was like, look, I want them to win. I want to end the season on a high note. We're not going to make the playoffs. I'm fine with that. Then they made the playoffs, and I expected the way that it happened. I completely expected to get blown out. Chiefs way better. Totally fine. Huge offseason, though. They'll have a new quarterback for the first time in 18 years. I think it will probably, anticlimactic. It'll probably be Mason Rudolph, which is not great, but they won't be much worse or much better than they were this year. They really need to rework some of the offensive line and the linebackers. I think those are some big decisions. They have some money to spend this offseason, so they might get for the Steelers at least, a bigger free agent than they typically would. And so it's interesting. I mean, GM's going to retire after the draft. Defensive coordinator retired, although that wasn't too surprising. Like, there's a lot of big things that could happen, but as long as Mike Tomlin's there, it'll largely remain the same. They haven't had a playoff win now, and they won in Kansas City. I think that was 2016, maybe the 2015 season, something like that. Maybe 2016 season, I can't remember, one of the two. But haven't won a playoff game in like 6 years, which is they've maybe 5 seasons is what it is, and that's the longest stretch for the Steelers since like the mid 80s. So fan base is a little antsy to win in the playoffs, but all in all, they well overachieved. They were not as good enough to make the playoffs. The fact that they got there is incredible. The defense had some major issues, but played really well in spots when they needed to. T.J. Watt should have broken the single season sack record. I don't know if you saw this. They did not credit him with a sack on that was crap. Should have been a sack, but either way, he tied it, which was awesome. So all in all, it was a frustrating season, but I mean, it could have been way worse. So pretty happy with it. And they made the playoffs, and now we look forward to the draft, which is when your team is not like a Chiefs, Bills, like they're going to be good. Like, they might make the playoffs, but the draft to me is the most fun part of the year. My buddy put it this way, like, because that's when everybody has hope. Like, every pick, you're like, oh yeah, they're going to be good. And so looking forward to that, but it'll be a fun off season. So that's the Steelers. I am very invested in the Cowboys just because I live here. So before I share any of my thoughts, I will let you air your grievances after last week.
Can I ask you some stuff about Steelers? Some thoughts?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like I called this, and maybe we agreed on it. I think we agreed on it. I felt like the Steelers were going to do just good enough to not be able to draft a good quarterback. Yeah. Quarterbacks are always overdrafted. But you think, so draft time, it's coming up. What are they, like 22nd pick, 23rd pick?
20. They're the 20.
20. Okay. If you're sitting there and you got a Mallet Smith, kid out of Liberty, all the upside in the world, or one of those top 3 tackles are there, or there's that kid from Utah, Lloyd, looks like a Michael Parsons type. What do you think they take? What's the most important there?
I think they would not take the quarterback. And this is just me guessing based off like being a fan. I think they really like Sam Howell, just like based off what they like. He's mobile. He's got a big arm. He's tough. They might take him. I think if that they won't have this opportunity just because he seems to be gaining a lot of steam on like draft Twitter. So I assume
that's the teams, Mississippi State kid. Mississippi.
Sam Howell. He's from North Carolina.
Okay.
I really like that center from Iowa. His first name's Tyler. It's like Linderbaum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Linderbaum. Yeah.
He looks incredible. He probably will be gone, but I think they would take a linebacker. That Nakobe Dean from Georgia, I think, will also be an option. Devin Bush has been a failure of a pick, unfortunately. And so that's been frustrating. I think they wanted him. He's not as big, but like the speed that Micah Parsons played with, they were hoping that they could get some of that out of Devin Bush. He just has never been close to that. So I don't think they would take a quarterback unless it's somebody that they'd really want. But also, if they do take a quarterback, he might not start right away. It might be Mason Rudolph. If and you said they'd be just good enough to not have a high enough pick. I think if you're going to do that, this is the year, because everybody seems to be saying like the quarterbacks just aren't what they usually. And so if you're not going to take one, maybe this is the year to do it. But then you run the risk of now you got the 20th pick again and the 19th pick, and like you're stuck in that treadmill. But the Steelers don't tank. They're not going to be bad on purpose. They're probably, unless things go horribly wrong, they're always going to win like 7 games or something like that. So, we'll see where they end up. I think they would not take the quarterback. If it were me, man, I don't know. I probably wouldn't draft the quarterback. I probably wouldn't. I would try to beef up everywhere else and see what I can make happen otherwise. So I don't know.
My prediction, let's note this. I think this would be a good move for the Steelers. Trade for Minshew. I feel like he's the perfect guy for that team, that offense.
I think
expensive either.
They're going to bring back Haskins and they're going to bring back Rudolph, and it'll be like $5 million total, which for quarterbacks is cheap. They'll bring in somebody else. So whether that's a rookie, whether that's a trade, they are not trading for Aaron Rodgers. They're not trading for Russell Wilson. Like, that's not going to happen. I joked about it earlier in the season, but it won't. So we'll see. I like Minshew. How much is he a playoff caliber quarterback? Probably not. But is he worse than Big Ben last year? No. So we'll see. But it's going to be a fun offseason. It's going to be the first time in a while that they've got some major decisions, changes. Face of the franchise has moved on. So we'll see.
All right. So I'll switch this to Cowboys, and I kind of have a rant here with it, and I'll see how this goes. But let me just see. I'm gonna take a nap for a quick second. Let you go for a while. There you go.
let you get your rant out. Yeah, exactly.
So I've noticed, and it's because Cowboys probably they have the biggest fan base worldwide, but I've noticed there is a really distinct division amongst that fandom is Cowboys fans and football fans whose favorite team is the Cowboys.
That actually, I haven't heard it put that way, but I think you're onto something here. Keep going.
The vast majority falls under Cowboys fans. They think the Cowboys have to win by 50 because Grandpappy set them on the knee and told them about the 90s when Dallas was, winning Super Bowls and they were crushing the Bills. And
well, there's also like a certain sect of people that think like if you can't win by 21 plus, that it's a loss, more or less.
And I see that really prevalently within the Dallas Cowboy fandom. Like, no one was getting mad at Green Bay for beating Arizona by 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one chastised a whatever Tampa for beating New England by 2 or whatever it was. But it seems like within the Cowboy fandom, they won by 10. This is where it really started wheel spinning, was when they played the Saints and won by 10 on the road. And everybody acted like it was this horrible thing that happened. Why do we have to apologize for ugly wins on the road in the NFL? Why do we have to justify everything? Dak didn't play well. Dak didn't play well at all after the New England game. Zeke, we find out, had a torn ligament in his knee. Why did we play him? Why did we give him? Yeah, you can see no burst. He had no burst left.
Right.
There were issues, but they were winning. They were still winning well. They won 12 games and were not a bad team. They came out. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it seems like within the fandom, like you said, it has to be a 20-point win. Dak has to throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Zeke needs to run for 120. Parsons needs 7 sacks, or it's a failure.
Do you think part of that has to do with the NFC East? Like, the NFC East is weak, and so the Cowboys over the last quite a while, I mean, for the most part, have dominated the division, like one big. And so in these big games, Eagles, Sunday Night Football, for example, they handily beat them. Washington, Thursday Night Football, handily beat them. Like, they don't have issues with that. Or on Thanksgiving. And so now when I'm a Cowboys fan and I'm a casual fan, I'm like, oh, let's turn on the game. It's Thursday night. And we're playing the Saints. And, they don't have Drew Brees anymore? Like, those kinds of people? Like, who's Taysom Hill? Never heard of him. And then they win by 10. Like, now I'm frustrated by that. I think that has to have something to do with it.
And it does. And I think there's an, I don't know how to say it. There's a part of a lot of Cowboys fans, not football fans whose favorite team are the Cowboys, that don't understand football well enough to enjoy the game. Like, I can watch any team play and find something to enjoy about it. I really enjoyed the Chiefs-Bengals game. I think it was week 18, 17, or 18.
Yeah, that was a great game. Mm-hmm.
That was one of the best games I've ever seen. And I have, past 5-6 years, have really gained an appreciation for non-Cowboys games because I'm not invested. I can watch it and like, man, this is
and appreciate what's happening.
Yeah, and I think there's that lacks in a lot of Cowboys fans where they see everything. They have this Madden mentality where it's like, you're not winning, by 20, 30 points, or you're not putting 40 points up. There's something wrong, and not every team does that. Like, the Tampa Bay didn't do that. Rams didn't do that. Green Bay didn't do that. Green Bay did not look good all year. They lost last night. They looked good at times. They won the games they needed to win, but they lost to a 49ers team that just really scrappy and aggressive.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing the same kind of backlash we do with Dallas. And a lot of that has to do with Jerry Jones getting on the radio and spouting nonsense about coaches and stuff.
I mean, and he's the only owner in the league that does a twice weekly radio interview.
So when you worked at that station, did you ever interact with him?
I did not. No. I helped. All I did was cut audio clips of him talking, which is not the easiest thing in the world to do because of the pausing and those kinds of things. Right. A question I have for you. Well, a couple questions. The first one, I heard this. Somebody mentioned this week. Of the big Cowboys, DeMarcus Lawrence, Amari Cooper, Zeke, like somebody, I feel like there's going to be a big name that's not on the team next year, whether they're cut or traded. Does Amari Cooper get traded? I mean, there's some dissatisfaction there. It seems like, is Zeke get cut? I don't know. I would be surprised if they cut Zeke because I think they really like Zeke. But Amari Cooper doesn't seem thrilled. And also, this is making me think like I guess it was Oakland at the time. He didn't like Oakland, wanted out, got traded. After a few years now, he's unhappy in Dallas. Like is Amari Cooper the problem? Maybe it wasn't the Raiders. I don't know. I don't know what the deal there is, but I mean, his production was down this year. Maybe some of that's on Dak. But does he move on? I think that'll be an interesting thing to monitor in the offseason.
I've heard a lot of that. Zeke, they can't get rid of. The way I've heard a lot of stuff just on the radio and local talking heads around here that they have to guarantee each time they guarantee him, they have to guarantee the next year or something.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah, he's got a real unique contract that they basically can never cut him without taking a big hit. Tank is amazing. Tank is a great player. He earns every dollar he's paid. He's a grinder.
The only thing, he just can't stay on the field. He's great when he's on the field, but he just cannot stay on the field, and that's been his whole career.
Yeah. Well, then he had back issues early, and those have seemed to have gone away. But now I could see him kind of slowly turning into a Sean Lee, where it's broken toe, I got a torn this or a broken that. And,
I think the big thing, they need to find Tyron Smith's replacement. He's good when he's on the field. Like, he's still a good left tackle, but you can't count on him to play more than 10 games. That's just a part of it. And, the rest of the offensive line, needs some addressing as well, I think.
I saw something different with Smith. When he came back towards the end of the year, he seemed really inconsistent. He got a lot of holding calls. Now, they were playing good ends. But he was getting holding calls. He looked out of position a lot. He was giving up sacks, pressures like he hasn't done before. I really keyed in on him in a couple of games, and he looked. Now he's a really old 30-year-old or 29-year-old. But I kind of feel like that to me would be the biggest target, tackle.
Who would you be more upset losing, Dan Quinn or Kellen Moore?
Quinn.
Yeah.
You listen to Parsons talk about Quinn as like it's the best coach he's ever played for, and I feel like that defense matches that energy. And if you're going to lose him, you need somebody that's going to really get those guys up. You can't go grab a, Wink Martindale from the Ravens, who just seems to kind of be like treats it like an office job almost. But Moore, I think, is one of the bigger problems. Like, I feel like as a good Cowboy fan, I should be, Moore's the best. But then I look at the product on the field, it's like, maybe that's the reason Cooper's unhappy. Lamb disappeared at the end of the year. It's like, what? Why aren't we getting the ball to these guys? It seemed the only receiver that Dak would force the ball to was Gallup. Otherwise, it didn't. Yeah, Dak seemed to hold the ball and be really, hesitant to throw. So I don't know if that's Dak or if that's a Moore thing, if that's a McCarthy thing. Just, you watch Dak, he drops back, hits his back foot, climbs up, moves around, blah, blah, blah. Watch Aaron Rodgers, he drops back, hits his back foot, and that ball's gone. Mm-hmm. So that to me seems like a scheme thing. Like, Dak is looking for a certain thing that's not there, and Moore and McCarthy should have figured that out. But yeah, I don't want to lose Quinn, but he seems like the most likely to go.
Yeah, I think he's all but gone. He can pick what job he wants. I thought the Cowboys would win last week. Like, I really, going into it, I was the opposite of a lot of people. I felt like I really wasn't. I didn't think I'd be that, if I was a Cowboy fan, that worried about the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo's unimpressive, and he tried to give away the game. He tried to give it back to him. But I didn't think they'd get past this weekend. Is the weekend I thought the Cowboys would lose. I thought they'd win at home, get that win, and then lose this weekend. And that was sort of throughout the year. But 25 years, what has it been, 25, 26 seasons now without a conference championship game appearance?
Yeah, 27?
I want to say there's
5 seasons.
I want to say there's only 4 other teams that have been longer. I think it's
not the Bengals anymore.
Washington is one. Cleveland is one. Detroit is one. Minnesota might be the other one.
No, Minnesota went in like 90.
Oh no, they went to a conference championship game with Brett Favre. Actually, they lost that game.
The kicker missed the kick. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
who's
watch
the
that.
I forget who the other one is, but anyway, not great company, no matter who it is, and it it's tough to blame like any one thing. I think McCarthy deserves a fair share of the blame. I also wouldn't fire him, by the way. Like there is something to be said for consistency. Now I'm a fan of the franchise that's had 3 coaches in the last like billion years, so like that's what they're about. But like there's something to be said for having consistency within your organization. So interesting offseason for both teams, really. I think the Cowboys could make some major subtractions, and in that additions. The Steelers maybe some additions, and then we got the draft as well. So looking forward to all of it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, and we'll cover all that as it moves along. But I think, unless you have anything else, I am I'm pooped with the rants. I got nothing left.
Yeah, I got to build back up my endurance a little bit. But yeah, I got nothing else. Yeah, right.
Well, let's give a shout out to our sponsors real quick. Local Menace, localmenace.com. Use code BEARDCREW. Get 25% off your purchase. They got sweaters, hats, t-shirts like this one, all kinds of cool designs. Check them out. Localmenace.com. Use our code. Let them know we sent you. Awesome Dallas-based artist-owned company, streetwear brand. So check those guys out.
And then we got Rodeo Coffee, right here in Fort Worth. Small batch roasted. In fact, they have a new coffee truck. They're now open. I think the weekends they're doing like 7 to 11:30, 7 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Check out their Instagram. But they're over at the Walsh neighborhood, which is like way west Fort Worth, almost Aledo, kind of like 3820 area. But they've got their little coffee truck trailer out there. They've got, of course, you can probably buy bags of coffee, but even like lattes, espressos, things like that. So check them out. You can also order it online. I need to get a bag. I haven't had any in a while. I used mine up just for the Christmas holiday and haven't gotten any more. So I need to go check them out. But check those friends out right here in Fort Worth, and you can go look at a house in that Walsh neighborhood. They're pretty crazy when you get a latte. So there you go.
Yeah. Last time I talked to them, we're at a pop-up right before Christmas, and I turn around and there was a bag of their coffee sitting behind. They Jazz snuck a bag of coffee in my little setup for me.
Man, I mean, like, it really is very good coffee.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that because they're friends of the show. Very good coffee, locally roasted. People, busting their tail to make something happen. I'm always good to support both of those sponsors, Local Menace and Rodeo Coffee.
And also my company, Ish Beardworks. Check it out. We're really expanding our line, ishbeardworks.com. I won't talk too much about it just to get us out of here, but that's all I got. You got anything else?
No.
All right. Well, until we see you again, stay above average.